In today's video, I'm going to be showing you this really interesting card effect in Elementor. Now on the second card, you can see on this border how the colors are just shifting through all the different gradients, as well as there's this whole glowing effect happening around the card. Now I'm going to give you 4 different options for this. The first one is going to be this card over here. This is the initial one. So nothing really happens on interaction. On this very first card over here, you can see that nothing's actually happening here. But if we hover, that's when the effect kicks in. Now, the third card, I'm going to show you the exact same thing on this first card, but we're going to take it even further. So if we hover over here, you can see the entire card light up with that effect. And the fourth one is the same as the third, but the difference being that it has the same border effect happening right here on the second card, but if I hover, then the whole card also changes into that whole effect. So this tutorial is going to have all 4 of them, and I'm going to show you how to do it. It isn't actually hard, so let's get into this. Now if you don't want to follow along in the tutorial and you just want to download the complete template, there's going to be a link in the description of this video, and it's going to take you to this page on my website where you can just go and download it. To install it's very easy. Once you download the zip file, there it is over here. All we have to do is extract it, and what you're looking for is this template file right over here. The other one's just a little PDF, and I'll show you how to install it really quickly. So here in the WordPress backend, we go to pages, we say add new. Here in the new page, just have to give a new title. I'm just going to go with glowing card hover effect, and I'm going to say publish. Once it's published, go into Elementor. Now here in Elementor, we just have to click on this add template button. It's going to bring up the library pop-up, and what we're looking for on this page is this import template icon right here. We click that, and it gives you this screen here. Now all you have to do is take the template file and drag it across into the window and let go. Here we just say continue, and the one that we're looking for is this mind-blowing animated glowing card. We just say insert, say apply, and there you go. You have the exact template that I'm going to be doing in this tutorial. If you want to change the colors in this, you just have to go to the actual containers here. You can see you've got the different options. Here in one of these cards, we go to advanced, under custom CSS, and you can see we have these control variables right over here, and you can change these colors to whatever you'd like and it'll update. You also have the option of changing the blur and as well as the rotation speed of all the colors. The options are completely up to you. Now for everyone else that wants to actually build this, let's go and delete everything over here, and we're going to start this from scratch. Okay, so here on a completely empty screen, let's start this off with our first container. So click this plus sign, flexbox, that container right there is fine. These settings, I'm going to put it to full width. The width can be 100%. The min height, I'm going to change this to VH, and I'm going to put this to 100. Then direction is fine. Justify content is center. Align items center. Then under advanced, I'm just going to put the padding to 0. Now if you don't have this navigator on the right hand side open, it's this button over here. We are going to be using it quite a lot. So while we actually here with the navigator, I'm just going to rename this to section. And then the last thing I'm going to have to do with this container is just give it a background color. It doesn't matter what color. So I'm going to go with classic, choose a color. I'm going to go with some sort of blue, something like that is totally fine. Now that I'm done with the color, I'm going to add the actual card container itself. And this is going to house all the cards that we're going to apply this effect to. So click the plus sign, take the container, put it in. Now for the settings of this, I am going to keep this at full width, can be at 100. The min height, I'm going to change it to VH, and I'm going to say 60. Now the direction of this, I want it horizontal because I want the cards next to each other like that. And then the final important step is if we go to advanced, the Z index, I want this to be 1. The reason for that is the effects have to be behind the cards, and if this is not a Z index of 1, then the effect doesn't actually work because there's a whole before and after thing that we do in CSS, and having this just set to 1 solves any issues that you're going to have. Now for the name of this, I'm just going to be calling this cards container. It doesn't really matter what you call this, it's just so that when you edit this later down in the line, then you know exactly what's going on with all the containers and stuff in it. Now inside here, we're going to start constructing the cards. So we're going to be putting 4 in here, but we're only going to doing all the settings on one, and then we'll just duplicate it across all the different cards. So here inside this container, I'm going to click a plus sign. I'm going to drag a container in, and this is going to be our first card. So here I'm going to rename this to what the card effect was. So this one, we're going to be doing just the normal animated border. So if we look in this example, we are actually going to start off with this card 2 over here. So this is the one that nothing happens when you're hovering. So this one I'm going to rename to just animated border. And then I know that this is going to be the card that has the animated border. You can just add card at the end of this, but I don't really need to in this tutorial. Okay, so now for the settings of this, we're going to make sure that this is full width. And the min height, it doesn't really matter. The justified contents, I want center. The style is going to be something different here though. So if you look at these cards over here, they have this border. Now that isn't actually a border, that is this container that we are working with right now. So this border over here is actually just the whole card, and this darker blue section is actually just an inner container. So for the color of this container, I'm going to be putting it to something bright because it is going to be that border. So something like this is fine. It is quite vivid, but just remember again, it's just the border. Then if we go to advanced, I'm going to give this the padding of 5. So that is the thickness of the border. So here, if you want this to be thicker, then you would just add more padding to this outer container of this card. Or if you want it thinner, then same thing applies. Now, if you are happy with it being square for your cards, then the next step you don't have to worry about. But if you wanted a more rounded edge, like how we have in this example, you can see a rounded edge. We go over to style, border, and I'm just going to give this a 10 radius. So if we preview it, you can see it's got that sort of radius going on. If you don't like it, you don't have to. Another thing that's completely optional is I like to have shadows. So if you want a shadow or not, this step is totally optional. So here I'm going to be putting in the box shadow. I am going to make it about a 75% darkness because the background is pretty dark. And then the vertical, I was going to add about a 12 pixels. It doesn't really matter. It's just to give that little effect right at the bottom there. Now we're done with all the settings of this container. Let's go add that in a container. So here, click the plus, take container, and put it in. Okay, so for the settings of this container, I'm going to make sure it's full width. The width, I'm going to say 100%. The min height, I'm not going to worry about it right over here, but we are going to make it higher and fill out the parent container. But for now, we'll just leave it as is. The justify content, I want center and align item center. The style, I'm going to give a background to this. So here, let me just choose a background color. Something like this, very dark blue. It doesn't have to be accurate at all. It's just what I'm going with this design. That is pretty cool. So then I am going to copy this exact color into hover as well. So if you hover, it just stays the same. This is going to be quite useful for the other cards as well. So we don't have to change that in the other cards. Now, if we go to advanced, if we go down to size here, I'm going to say grow. So if we preview this, you can see now it fills out the whole card, and that 5 padding that we had put in earlier is now showing this as a border. Now, because I put an outer border there, I have to put a border inside this particular container as well. So if I go to style, I go to border, I'm going to say that the border radius is 10. So now you can see that it just nicely aligns like that. Now that we're done with that, what we're going to be doing is adding the content of this card. So it's going to be the title, the text widget, and a button. So you're going to click the plus sign, add the title, then add the text editor, and then add the button. For the title, I'm just going to call this card 1. And I'm going to set the color to white. The text, all I'm going to do is make sure it's center and put it white. And then the button, what I'm going to do in that style, I'm going to go over, make sure it's center as well. Then the text color, I'm going to put to white. The background color, I'm going to make it transparent. The border, say solid, a border radius of say 2. The border color, set it to white. And the border radius, I'm going to be putting it to 50 so that it has that nice round effect. Then in hover, I'm going to put the text color to black, background color, set it to white, and make sure the border stays white. So it has that sort of effect going on. And guess what? We are pretty much done with designing everything. Now we just have to put in code. Now, if we look on the right hand side, we have this animated border. This is that container that is the actual card. I'm going to close that, and I'm going to duplicate this 3 times. So 2 and 3. So now we have 4 cards. So if I preview this, you can see there's our 4 cards. And then I just have to change this card number over here on every title. So I'm going to click the second one, say this is card 2, third, card 3, fourth, card 4. So now I'm going to make sure that all these cards are closed on the right hand side here, because I need to rename them. They all can't be animated border. The second one, to hover animated border, because that is the effect that's going to happen. The third one is hover everything. The fourth one, I'm going to call it border plus everything. You can call these whatever you like. It's not going to make a difference in the code. It's just so that I know exactly what's happening to that card on that particular effect. If you're going to make 4 cards or 3 cards with the same effect, then you don't actually have to worry about giving unique names there. But here I'm giving you all 4 different options. Now, in the description of this video, there's going to be a link that's going to take you to a reference page on my website that's going to have all the code for all the different options, and we're going to paste them all into this tutorial. So now if you follow that link, it's going to take you to this particular page. We scroll down and there's going to be 4 different code snippets. The first one is the animated border, where it's just doing the border without any hover effects. Second one is going to be the border as well, but it only gets triggered on the hover. So it's going to be this one right here. The third one is everything is going to glow when hover. And then the fourth is the animated border plus the hover that does everything. A bit complicated to say, but here are these differences over here. This is that animated border plus the hover. This is just hover everything. So what we're going to be going for is the very first code. We're going to copy this, and in the editor, we're going to make sure we're on the first card. So here we go to advanced, custom CSS, and we paste it. So now you can see it has that animation going on. And we're going to keep doing this for all the cards. So we go back to the reference page. We go to the second one, copy. And in the second card, under advanced, custom CSS, paste. So now when it hovers, you can see that effect happening. To go again in the reference page, we go to the third one, copy, put it into the third card. So advanced, paste. Back in the reference page, we're going to copy the fourth, and then here in the editor, the fourth card, advanced, custom CSS, and paste. So now you have all 4 different effects happening. Now let me explain these effects. So if we preview it, you can see exactly what is going on over here, and you can choose whichever effect you want. So you have all 4 here. Now if you want to change the colors of this whole gradient that's happening here, very easy to do. On whatever card you're using, it doesn't matter because all the code is the same at this point. You go to advanced, and under the custom CSS is that code we just put in. Now here we have control variables that control the code that's powering this whole thing. So here you can see the first color, second color, third color, the size of the blur, and how fast this must spin around. So if you wanted the blur of this to be, say, 80 pixels, you can see how that glowing effect is now a lot bigger. Or if you wanted it a lot smaller, say 20, you can see it's just a little bit around the edges. The default was at 40, so I'm going to be putting it back to 40. And these colors say I want this first color to be, I don't know, say maybe white, and the second color to be red, and the third color to be, say, maybe purple. You can see it update completely. The rest of the code just takes care of it. So I don't really want it like that. I'm just going to be putting them back. Just remember, it's generally just hex codes that you have to put in. So you can really put in whatever colors. Now, if you only want 2 colors, then you only need to be putting in 2 colors. The third one can be the same as the second or the first one. It's totally up to you. And over here, we have the spin speed. We have a 2.5 second rotation. Here we can put it to, say, 1.5, so then you can see the colors speed up a lot. Or we can even put it 0.5 and really looks like we're having a party going on here. Or how about 8 seconds? Now you can see how slowly it moves around. But I found that 2.5 was good enough, really. And there you go. A very cool, unique thing. I don't see this around much at all. And it isn't the fact that can be used. I know I say that a lot in these videos, but it's true.